feeling is here.
Yeah, son, you feel it, man. Word up, son. You gotta just do it, yo. Yo, word up, man. It's a different channel, son. Word up, on, man. Word up, watch the channel, son. Different plane now, man.
It's all good.
Word up, all good, baby, in every hood, son. Word up, yo. CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas, it's grown men. Bold face, get in your face. Stay in place, yo, crime lace. Cast more beef than Scarface. CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas, that's grown men. Bold face, get in your face.
Call is now being recorded.
One of the things that, I've heard talked about, I think on like the Joe Rogan podcast and various other MMA type things is how Bruce Lee would do in the Octagon. I was gonna say, because traditionally people who are like strict martial artists who just do like kumite tournaments or whatever, and whatever their thing is, whether it's karate or taekwondo or whatever, they usually don't do very well in the octagon. And I remember Joe Rogan talking about how these supposed martial arts karate masters who could use their chi energy and do all this, mythical type stuff end up stepping in the octagon and getting fucked up. So,
yeah.
But then, I did hear either he or somebody else on the podcast, or maybe it was another podcast, and entirely, but they were talking about how, Bruce Lee was really about that life, and they said that he would go out into the city in like a disguise, and sometimes he would dress up like a woman and purposely get himself into situations where he had to defend himself so that he could test out his moves and, develop his style of, his Jeet Kune Do or whatever. And something about how, he was probably, one of the first mixed martial artists because, his style was a mix of various other styles that he had put together.
Yeah, I remember Joe Rogan saying that, but I think especially when he mentioned Bruce Lee being in the octagon, I think he said it had to him at least had a lot to do with his size. First his size, and then he just said to be realistic, if you're coming across I guess Rumble Johnson, for example. He's probably gonna knock your ass out. I don't know, but then even he said the sheer just wrestling and how big wrestling is in the sport of MMA, and that you just can't be punching and kicking people like you're in a kickboxing match or whatever like that, or a Muay Thai or whatever like that. So I'm pretty sure he probably wouldn't be able to, but he was fucking ripped though. That's the thing.
You talking about Bruce Lee?
Yeah. So I'm assuming he would be maybe a featherweight or what's the step before below lightweight? Is that featherweight or
I think featherweight is the lowest.
Oh, featherweight, okay.
But
yeah, bantamweight is women's, I think.
Yeah, I think the thing with Bruce Lee, of course he'd probably have to develop more grappling, but he probably did have some of that, or some type of jiu-jitsu or judo or aikido type thing going on with him. But I think what he lacked in wrestling, he could probably make up for with his speed, because, in order to grapple somebody, you have to get them when they're kind of stationary and stuff. And, Bruce Lee was so fast that, on camera he had to slow down his moves so that, he could be picked up by the frames or whatever. So, with him being that fast, I imagine he would be kind of hard to grapple. So it's you go in for, a grapple or a takedown, and he's, probably dodged it, moved around you, and kicked you in your head or something like that. I don't know. It's something that, I wish that we could see, but.
I mean, we know, like, you know, like the earlier UFCs and even like Pride up to, you know, I mean, probably up to like its end point, they would just put like crazy large people against highly technical players, you know, like before, you know, Hoist Gracie.
Yeah.
Lord knows, and how he would just tap out 200, 300-pound people. And it just took time. So, I mean, maybe. But, I mean, I'm pretty sure, but, you know, like, actually, for example, I was listening to one of Rogan's podcasts earlier today, and they were talking about how Jinjitsu, is it Jinjitsu? No, it's not. How you say it?
Jujitsu?
Yeah, Jujitsu, yeah. No, because there's ninjutsu, jujitsu, isn't there another type of jutsu that you say? Or that there is?
I don't know, there might be.
Alright, this is why this is why we need Joe Rogan. Yeah, so jujitsu and how it changes like periodically. So one fighter that he had, I think it was Rory McDonald, and he was talking about how, you know, if he's gone for like 5-6 months, there's like these different techniques that he has no idea, like he's never seen before, and they're just fucking him up, but he has to learn them, you know, within like a certain time span so he can have it for like his fight. You know, that he has for, you know, on UFC or whatever like that. And so, I don't know, but then it's like, it's weird to say though, because maybe Bruce Lee would have been, because also the possibility that he could have been like too set in his ways, that he wouldn't have any interest in learning anything about wrestling. Because, you know, it's more than just, you know, jujitsu. It's also, you know, you gotta learn how to wrestle, that Greco-Roman type of wrestle style.
Yeah. That's
also pretty prevalent. And like, for example, like another fighter that Joe Rogan had, you know, he's like a world-class kickboxer, Muay Thai, and all this other type of stuff. And he did like one MMA thing he lost, and he said that, you know, he's not interested in really learning about grappling and, you know, and wrestling because he's a kickboxer. And it kind of sucks for him because, you know, he wants to be famous, and if he learns it, you know, he could just shoot up to fame probably to a certain extent, but he said he already put in like, you know, 30 years of his life into like, you know, what he already knows, and so putting in like an extra 10 years, and he's already like 38. I mean, just kind of, 9 times out of 10 physically, it probably just can't happen. So, I can see his dilemma, but if you go into like, you know, supposedly like the first MMA fight between Muhammad Ali and that wrestler, I can't think of his name. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't actually. I don't even know if I've heard of this.
Okay, so if, well, mind you, for listeners out there, and this is all through Wikipedia, but, they mentioned it before, like in one of Rose's podcasts. And so if you like look up MMA on Wikipedia, it goes to the history of MMA. And apparently, like the first MMA, well, at least for right now, at least, the first MMA fight that people are considering an MMA fight is between Muhammad Ali and this one, like, kind of big Japanese wrestler. And they had like a big fight. Big money was involved, and I think Muhammad Ali went to Japan to fight him, and there was like a whole bunch of shit talking or whatever like that. To make a long story short, it lasted like 12 rounds or whatever like that, and people think that the fight was kind of fixed because like literally nothing happened. Like I think Muhammad Ali threw maybe like 2 punches, and the other guy maybe like stomped him like twice when supposedly Muhammad Ali was on the floor or something like that. But it was like really fixed, and they had like all these different rules of what they couldn't do to each other, so no one could get hurt. But they made like a lot of money, but although everyone like said like the fight was shitty because no one did anything. But they became like really good friends after a while, and I think Muhammad Ali he came to Japan like to see him fight his like final fight and stuff like that, and I think like the other Japanese guy came to Muhammad Ali's matches and stuff like that. But that was seen like the first fight of MMA, you know, mixing different martial arts, and apparently they had no idea what they were doing. Because like based on that, actually, I forgot. I meant to look at to see if I could find it on YouTube. You know, he had like his boxing gear on, and the other guy just had his wrestling gear on, and they were just, you know, just pretty much just jumping around this ring. It sounds kind of silly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when thrust into a new situation like that, you know, you pretty much don't know what to do, especially because, you know, combat sports have historically been so, you know, restricted. Like, you know, you have boxing and you have kickboxing. And I was always surprised that kickboxing never really popped off, you know, with K1 or whatever. Because I remember I used to watch it on ESPN2 back in the day. And then you have, like, you know, your sumo wrestling and various styles. And it's like, you know, there's always been this whole thing of, you know, which style is the best. And I'm just wondering why has it taken so long for somebody to get the bright idea of, oh, let's actually do this and mix it together.
I mean, if I had to say, I think it's because, you know, like a lot of these types of styles, like, I mean, I know, like, for karate, for example, it was made, certain styles were made for specific reasons. Yeah. And they were kind of, like, restricted in various ways. Like, karate, it was, like, literally made for self-defense. Kung Fu with, like, the Shaolin monks, or Shaolin Kung Fu, at least, you know, with the Shaolin monks, you know, it's pretty much locked away in the fucking temple for thousands of years. And, you know, and I guess even, like, you know, jiu-jitsu to a certain extent, until, like, the Gracie family came along and they kind of unlocked it and made it, like, this big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it makes, like, a lot of sense. I mean, you know, everything was so, you know, insular.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, I think about, you know, martial arts as, like, a war tactic. And, like, you know, throughout history, you had to have had different cultures who have had different types of martial arts that have come into, you know, contact with each other. And, you know, each martial art kind of has its own type of philosophy. And I've always wondered, you know, which ones historically have, you know, beaten other ones. Because I know, like, with karate, you know, studying karate, the whole thing is, you know, how to beat somebody who's bigger than you and how to focus your energy on a particular point that can really damage someone. So, like, you know, it's all about, like, when you punch with the, you know, your middle knuckle and, like, your first knuckle, because that's aligned with your wrist and you can get more power, and you want to punch from the shortest possible distance as fast as you can. And I guess, you know, kind of with that whole Bruce Lee 1-inch punch thing of how you channel your energy all in one specific point. And so, you know, other, you know, philosophies have different things. Like, I guess the Aikido, Judo type thing is more about center of gravity and throwing somebody off balance and stuff like that. So, and all these things were developed to kind of compete against other people in, you know, real life situations. So, you know, it's always interesting to see how they play out. But one thing that I'm kind of interested in, you know, the guy who did the documentary Cocaine Cowboys.
Yeah, you know, I have yet to see that damn documentary.
Me too, but he has a new documentary out about underground Miami street fighting. And, you know, they fight in backyards and stuff. It's basically the whole type of thing that Kimbo Slice came from.
I think I just added that to my list actually on Netflix the other day.
Oh, it's on Netflix?
I think so. I know it's about, you know, backyard street fighting.
Yeah. And matter of fact, the guy who did, I can't think of his name, but he did an interview on The Fighter and the Kid, and basically he, you know, through Cocaine Cowboys, he has a lot of street cred to where he's able to, you know, go to these various hoods and stuff like that and really get into that world. And it's funny because, you know, with MMA, I was listening to an interview recently, and they're talking about, you know, how this is like kind of, the closest that you can get to actual real life situations. And I think somebody actually did say, this is like a real life, street fight or whatever. And I'm still here thinking, not really, because you have gloves on your hands and you train for months for all of this, and get yourself in tip-top physical condition. So now, and I've never seen the movie Fight Club. I want to see that too, but now I'm thinking about kind of getting into watching these street fights and really seeing how stuff plays out.
Yeah, a dog fight.
Dog fight, yeah. I think that is what it's called. Yep.
Yeah, Miami. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you have a point. I mean, actually, I watched one of Kimbo Slice's fights, and it was interesting. It wasn't UFC though. It was something else. I'm sure maybe it was before UFC. I'm not entirely sure, but he went up against like another like kind of classic street brawling kind of guy. He's like a big burly type of white dude, and Kimbo won. But it was interesting because, their fighting style that they put up, they put it as brawling. And so I went and I was like, oh shit, brawling is like considered like a martial art. And so I looked it up, and no, it's not considered a martial art, but I guess that was like the best thing they could think of that was still kind of classy.
Yeah, there's something called shoot fighting, which I guess that was what some of the fighters were characterized as on that first UFC that you showed me. I think they said Ken Shamrock did shoot fighting, and I've been meaning to look that up and see exactly what that is and what that consists of.
Yeah. I don't really understand it, and man, like if you look at like Ken Shamrock from like the first UFC, and then you see him in the WWF, and then he goes back, and then he goes back to like Pride. He goes back to MMA, like to Pride, and you can tell he's obviously on some type of steroid. It is so obvious because he was never ripped like all like that in the WWF. Maybe that's one of the reasons. Maybe that's one of the reasons why he never got he only got the Intercontinental title.
That's true because they did say that Pride kind of encouraged their fighters to be on steroids and stuff like that because it made for a better show. So, and there was nothing in their contracts that stipulated that you can't.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. But apparently, the Pride, they did say that they tested their fighters, but this is the same place that was given. They gave all their people cash. Straight cash, and then they had to stash it. They had to find ways to get this money across fucking customs. Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Ain't nothing like money in a black bag.
Shit, hell yeah. I mean, pretty much. And I know one guy said that he's pretty sure there were some people who would probably stuff them in their pants, but that was the 90s and early 2000s where no one really cared much about, but I guess before 9/11 and shit.
Yeah, pre 9/11.
Yeah, pre 9/11. So people, they could do that type of shit, and no one really cared.
Yeah, I gotta get. Matter of fact, I think I am going to invest in this UFC Fight Pass and look up some old Pride videos and stuff like that. Real talk, I've been thinking about maybe joining the gym and getting into some MMA because I used to know this chick who did it. Matter of fact, we were talking about Virginia off air, but I went to her gym one time because she's also a party promoter, and she booked me for a show, so I had to go to her gym to go pick up flyers, and she was in there hitting the bags and stuff like that. And this is before MMA was really popping like how it is now. And now I'm like, damn, I'm thinking about getting in on it, or at least, if not that, getting back into some karate or kung fu and all that. Because I did Shorin Ryu karate, and I did some type of kung fu in my lifetime. So I don't know, there's something to do.
Yeah, I still want to go back to Tai Chi. But, see, like, the thing is, though, like, I would want to do it, like, seriously, but not serious to the point where, you know, you gotta, like, dedicate your life to it. Like, serious, like, you know, to the point where, you know, I'm not, like, with a whole bunch of old people doing the shit.
Yeah.
Or, you know, arthritis or whatever. Like, seriously doing it, like, I guess, like, in an action, like, in a controlled environment. But not to the point where, you know, I gotta, you know, I gotta think about, you know, such and such, I don't know, person or whatever like that, or think about my chi, you know, while I'm sleeping or something, I don't know. They'll do it casually but seriously, but then I feel like if I take that type of route, then no one will really want to work with me if I try to, like, to get, like, a serious person.
Yeah, that's interesting. Tai Chi as a martial art, are there, like, competitions and things like that?
I don't think so. Like, I remember when I was a kid that, because, you know, like, you remember, like, Tai Chi 1, Tai Chi 2, and Tai Chi 3, those movies. And, I think it was in one of the, and shit, even like Jet Li's Tai Chi Master, one of my favorite kung fu movies all time. Yeah. That's not even kung fu. It's called a kung fu movie. I know, for whatever reason, like, a lot of those movies, there was a lot of them, though, especially, like, with Shaolin Kung Fu specifically with the monks. They'll always say that only one person knew, like, a certain style or whatever like that, or, like, with Tai Chi, but no one would really use it because it was too powerful. And I'm pretty sure, I have no idea. I don't know much about the story of Tai Chi, but I do know someone created it, and it was created for self-defense. But no one really uses it for that because it really, I guess, because it seems like it really focuses on yourself more than it focuses on fucking your opponent up. Because even like with Kung Fu,
like a yoga type of thing.
I mean, yeah, because like even with Kung Fu, you know, with Kung Fu, from what I'm understanding, you know, it's for your self-defense to a certain extent, but you're not really supposed to hurt your opponent. Where in karate, you're supposed to fuck them up.
Same thing with, I believe Taekwondo, which I've learned that I always thought that karate was the most popular martial art in America, but it's actually Taekwondo.
I mean, well, I'm sure like a lot of this is like really like regional though too. Like I do know like in Baltimore, there's Taekwondo, it seems like there's always karate somewhere though, and Kung Fu to a certain extent. But I see more Taekwondo and karate.
Yeah, and Kempo karate is big here too, which I'm not exactly sure. See, like this is the weird thing, and I know because like. And it's something I've always meant to come back to is like the history of it all because, you know, when I was in karate, you had like a big part of it was learning the history. And so we had to learn about Okinawa, and then there were 3 different types of karate. There was Shorin-ryu, which is what I did, Gojin-ryu, and then Shotokan, which I think was the main, most popular one that people do. So then I don't know what Kempo karate is, and I guess Taekwondo probably comes from some other place that's not Japan, but I'm not sure.
But then, like, no one really talks about like the first known martial art from Africa or whatever like that.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. What was that called again?
I don't know, but I know my man Eddie Gordo does it on a video game.
Oh. Well, that was you're talking about capoeira.
But actually, that was still kind of
that was the Brazilian thing.
But I mean, that's still pretty early, though, isn't it? I mean, compared to like Kung Fu, right?
Well, I think that capoeira came from something else in Africa, but
yeah, they came from some African shit.
Yeah. It came from something else in Africa, but the way that developed was that the Africans, they had to, like, you know, when they were on the slave ships and stuff like that, and on the plantations or whatever in Brazil, they were training, but they had to make it look like they were dancing. And so that's how that whole thing developed, and that's why it looks the way it does. And I think I did see a UFC fight one time with somebody who did it, and he fucked the dude up. And I feel like some elements of it might be in Anderson Silva's style, because he kind of reminds me of Eddie Gordo sometimes for some reason. I don't know why. But, yeah, and then you can go into the whole Hidden Colors route, where they talk about the first ninjas being African and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, it's one thing to be saying this shit, but at least say, you know, from, you know, I don't know, a source and, you know, the fifth brick of the third period in Timbuktu, some shit, I don't know. You just coming at me with all this different shit. It's cool, it's interesting. I watched all the three Hidden Colors, but I still feel like all this shit is hidden because you're not telling me where it's from.
You know what's crazy is, like, I've been seeing all these criticisms of it, and oh man, somebody was going off on Twitter, like, because I think, did Hidden Colors 4 come out?
4.
Or he's still working on it. But, like, somebody was talking about, like, Hidden Colors 57, and then, like, you know, something about Africans and aliens or flying pyramid. They're just making up, like, all this funny stuff dealing with flying colors. Hidden Colors.
Flying colors.
And, you know, a lot of the people in the conscious community, you know, kind of bashing him. One, because he's saying things and not you know, citing any sources, and then some of his information might be a little bit off. And, you know, it's really just kind of him saying random shit, like, you know, going into how, you know, the first ninjas were Africans.
Yeah,
stuff like that. Which, you know, I do think that there may be some type of validity to it, but you're not giving me anything to go back and research and look up, so.
But see, I think that's the thing, like, with a lot of, like, these type of conscious people is that they give you, like, an idea, right? But it's just the fact that everything is based on that everything comes from Africa. We know civilization comes from Africa. But the thing is, you just can't be walking around saying that everything comes from Africa. Like, after a while, shit gets played out.
Yeah, I mean, after a while, you have to start sourcing. You know, you gotta have some type of sources or some type of documentation or some type of proof to, you know, what you're saying. And, you know, that's why, you know, my favorite people out of this whole conscious thing are, you know, the Amin-Ra squad, because, you know, they're big on, you know, citing their sources and everything like that, and, you know, dispelling certain rumors, or not rumors, but certain, I guess, myths and legends, even if it, you know, does make black people look good or whatever. You know, if it's not the truth, it's not the truth. So, now, one thing that they do say, I was just listening to it earlier, they were talking about how, and they actually brought it up about how the theory of evolution started in Africa. And now they did, where's my phone? Because they did have a source from this guy.
Okay.
And it's actually a Muslim guy, and he wrote in his book about, or something like that, which I gotta look it up, but he was writing about it, and, you know, basically he got this from Africans, and so, you know, basically that the Africans had this theory of, I think it's called the Book of Animals or something like that. That's what he wrote.
Oh, and, you know, I've heard that before, yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, basically that the idea of evolution was around before Darwinism, and that, you know, Darwinism isn't necessarily evolution. It's, you know, just, you know, his spin on it or whatever. And then I actually started reading this book called The Evolution of Racism. And Darwin, you know, he was taking his time about getting his book and his theory out and all of that, and he was working on it. And some other guy actually came up with the theory and pretty much had the whole thing written out kind of before Darwin. And he actually sent Darwin his stuff about it. And Darwin got scared, like, oh shit, this other guy came up with the idea, and he's going to put it out and get all the credit for it. So I got to finish reading that because, you know, this book goes into, like, how, you know, all that shit has been used to, I guess, support various racist ideas. But,
I mean, yeah, I mean, like, shit, sociology, and you go into, like, like, early 20th century sociology, and, like, you know, how it was used in a weird way to kind of, from what I can recall, like, kind of, I mean, pretty much, you know, like, the whole thing about racial zoning and stuff like that, a lot of that came from what sociologists were saying in that time and stuff like that.
Yeah, and there's a guy, Downs or whatever, the guy that Down syndrome is named after.
Yeah.
And, you know, he had his whole theory on the races that was based off of the theory of evolution. And basically that, you know, you had, you know, the white race, which was the best one. And then you had black people, and then you had the Mongols. And basically Down syndrome was called Mongolism because the people came out looking Asian or, you know, Mongolian or whatever. They call it Mongolian syndrome or something like that. And basically how, you know, they were an inferior race, and, you know, whatever it is that makes you have, you know, what's now known as Down syndrome, it made the baby come out as like a vestige of, you know, a primitive form of humanity like the Mongols or whatever. And 10 years later, he realized that he was all wrong about all of that, and that, you know, there was no racial superiority. And so he worked to get that name off of, you know, that condition, and it was called Down syndrome. But by that point, it was too late. And there's this whole thing on, I think it was on NPR, I mean, it was on BBC, about how, you know, people from Mongolia still have to deal with the stigma of being Mongolian because that particular disorder was named after them.
I can only imagine. But, you know, speaking of, like, race, I did have, like, a little racial thing, at least I'm assuming it was racial.
Mm-hmm.
It damn sure seemed like it when I went to the market the other day, like 2 days ago. So, you know, I get my stuff out the car, I pack it up, I'm walking out, and one of, like, the workers for the market, he's coming up with, like, a cart, and I guess he sees me, and he puts up, I guess it was like a plastic screwdriver or whatever like that. And he goes, "Hey, look, I got a shank."
Oh man.
And, you know, I'm kind of like looking at him. And I didn't know how to take it, but I'm just like, man, you're talking about shank. I'm pretty much just going to assume at this point that because I'm black, because how many people do you know, like, how many people do you think he would go up to and say, "Hey, I got shank"?
I mean, was he, like, threatening with it, like, as if you're going to attack him, or maybe he was trying to relate to you because black people carry shanks?
He was trying to relate to me because black people carry shanks. Now, the thing is, I mean, should I, like, respect that, or should I not? I mean, you know, I've been, you know, I like to carry stuff, you know, but at the same time, I don't think you should, automatically assume that I'm carrying a shank. I could be carrying, carrots and potatoes and shit like how I was.
Was the guy slow?
No, he wasn't slow. I mean, he looked like, like one of those hipstery type of people that, he had like, long hair and ponytail, and it seemed like he just seemed kind of happy. I got shanked, buddy. Like my fellow black brethren, some shit like that.
Oh, hold on. Was the guy black or white?
He was white.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if it was black, I don't think I would really care that much. But
I mean, it's just such a random thing to say to somebody.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, and it's not like, I mean, I don't know. Like, let's say if I was on the, because you know about my different, my interesting situations on bus stops. People coming up in cars, and then realize I'm not like a certain person, and then just they just like literally just like speed off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if I was if I was in that type of situation, then yeah. If I'm coming out of a fucking market with bags, he saw me with the cart. I put my bags in another bag and whatever like that, and I'm like, I throw it over my shoulder and I'm walking out. I have headphones on. Apparently, I came here to get food. I'm not thinking about a fucking shank. And he just comes out of nowhere, just saying he has a shank. He needed to tell me that he had a shank. It's the craziest thing. I mean, it's weird.
I don't know. I'm baffled.
And I mean, I'm not trying to say that he's a bad dude, but make this goes into the whole. I guess they don't really see too many black people. Half the time when I'm in that market, I'm usually the only black guy there. I mean, it's a rather small market, so you could go within the whole market and, you can figure out you're the only black guy there.
I just don't understand how that's a way to open up a conversation with anybody.
I mean, well, yeah, that's true too. Maybe he's socially awkward. Maybe see, I don't even think Larry David would do some shit like that.
I mean, I asked if he's slow because, a lot of times, shopping cart dudes are usually the ones who have some type of mental disability. I
mean, I've seen him around before, and he seems smart as a whip.
Hey, buddy, I have a shank.
But then maybe, I'm pretty sure he's seen me around before. I mean, I've seen him around. But I've never had any type of conversation with them.
And you're not somebody who they're going to forget.
Well, see, yeah, that too. But I don't know. It's like if I was outside smoking a cigarette, because then like sometimes people will come up to me specifically and ask me for a cigarette. People will specifically come up to me and ask me for $1. Now, it's interesting how people ask me for money, right? But then at the same time, I still have the stigma of being, kind of like lowly in a way, where they know they can ask me for like a cigarette or tell me about a fucking shank. I find it fascinating.
I mean, they probably figure that you being black, of course you would have hella ones because you're going to the script club later on.
Oh my God. Oh, that's right. Oh, so look, there's a guy, and I don't know. I feel it seems like he really needs some help. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes, but he seems so clean that it seems like he has a home to go to. But I'm not trying. Anyway, I'm walking out of Starbucks, and I'm walking, I have headphones in, and. You know how, like, when man, it's like a big thing is going on, someone will, like, hold their hands out and, it's like, stop you before, you walk any further.
Mm.
So I'm walking out to see him, and he just does that to me. And so I look at him first, and then I pull my headphones out, and I'm looking at him, and he says, hey. I'm like, what's up? And he's like, and so he pauses for maybe like 4 seconds, and he's like, can I have $1? And because the way he did it, I got kind of mad. I said, no. I kept walking past him, but and all actually, I would give him $1 if I had like one like just really in my pocket.
Yeah.
If someone asked me for money, I would, and I mean for real, like usually if someone asks me for money, I would give it to them because I mean shit happens, man. I mean I understand. I mean regardless of whatever he's trying to do with it, I understand. But if I had to go to my wallet, I won't do that shit, no. But sometimes, like in Baltimore, like if I'm downtown, I usually have like change and like dollars in my pocket so I can give out to people if they ask me for it.
You know what? I used to do that, but I don't anymore because
we start seeing the same people
every day, and it's just like, yo, like I remember being in DC and I had to tell somebody, yo, I just gave you money yesterday. And then sometimes it's like they'll be lined up. So it's like you might not see the second one, so you give a certain amount to one and then the other one, so you do that. And it's like, damn, I ain't got nothing for you now. And I realize now that they start coming out in teams and stuff like that. So I'm just like, yo, this is not my responsibility right now, you know. I feel like I've spread enough money around homeless people throughout my life. And then another thing too is I guess I want my dollar to do something that's going to benefit somebody, right? So, you know, me giving you this dollar, you know, how is that going to benefit the world? Versus me using this dollar to get something for like a kid who has a future. You know, like how, you know, if I'm going to be giving this dollar away, how can I make this dollar do the most for the world? If that makes any sense.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Because like, the thing is, like, when people, like, tell me they don't get money out to homeless people, I completely understand why they don't do it. Yeah. It's not exactly their responsibility, but, you know, like, I can only imagine. I mean, I remember one time when, for some reason, I don't know what the fuck happened. I lost, like, the money that I needed, to get on the bus, like, to go back home. And someone, like, and I was kind of like a kid. Someone noticed that I didn't have any money, like, cause the way I was, like, kind of panicking, like, you know, like, looking through my pockets. And just came over and just gave me the money to go on the bus. And, like, ever since that day, you know, I just never forgot about it. And so, like, whenever I can help somebody, like, giving them, like, a simple dollar or some shit like that, I mean, it's the least I can do. I mean, just trying to help someone out, spread some karma, whatever you want to call it. But
like that, I do. Like if somebody was like, "Yo, I need some money to get on the bus" or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm giving you this money because I know you got somewhere to be. And or like even if it's like a rapper who, you know, is trying to sell his mixtape or something like that. You know, even if your shit is garbage, and if I had the cash, I'm gonna buy that shit. I'm gonna check it out.
I gave up on doing that, man. Because I have yet to see any type of reward for doing. I don't feel nothing. I'd rather give my shit to a homeless person. Honestly, like for real, like.
Oh man, I guess that's a good debate. Like, should you give your money to like you have $5? Should you buy a rapper's mixtape in the street or give it to a homeless person?
That's the thing, though. Like, if I see you around, like, you know, our homeboy, like, a shout out to Shooty on duty.
Shout out to Shooty on duty.
Now, like, you know, he caught me at a bad time. Like, you know, remember when I told you I saw him when I had my echocardiogram?
Yeah.
And, you know, he hit me. He was like, "Oh, my man." And I was like, "Oh, shit, Shooty." He's like, yeah, the Mob Deep calls. I remember you. "Well, your homeboy, yeah, whatever like that." I said, "Oh, my cousin." I said, "Oh, he doing what he do. That's what's up, man. But look, listen, I got the CD." I'm like, "Look, Shooty, for real. You my man, but I can't do it right now." And like it was just all love though. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just seems like he's a really just he just loves everybody.
Yeah.
You just want to support him. Everything compared to like someone you see like Security Square Mall in the parking lot heckling you and shit, and they'll be mad like, "Man, fuck that nigga. You're not trying to support me. I'm out here trying to do the right thing with my life. I got a kid I'm trying to feed and shit like this, shit like that. Like niggas don't hear that shit." Who gives a fuck? No one cares. Like,
who gives a fuck?
Like, like in high school, remember I told you, like, before I would go to school, I would used to roll around with this one homeless dude and walk throughout, like, the street with him.
I do remember you telling me about that, yeah.
Yeah, he had a college degree, or maybe it was lying, but no, he was he would read, like, the New York Times and shit, so sometimes I would, like, save, like, if I would get one, I would save it for him, so he could read. And he'd be telling me different shit about the stock market I never understood before when I got deep into it. And he told me about his life, just walking around with him. And of course, eventually I had to give him like 50 cents on a dollar, of course. But he told me that, simply the freedom. He had like 3 kids, he had a wife, $100,000 a year job, but he just got tired of like just being, tied down to that. And, even being tied down to vacation time. Being tied down to the responsibilities of having children and then a wife, he put it kind of bluntly, he said, you gotta cuddle with, you gotta fuck every day or every other week. That's not what I want in my life. This is what this man told me. That's not what I want, but right now, I have all this freedom. And I'm like, you have all this freedom, but to be honest, you smell, you asking me for, like, you asking a high school kid for money right now, but apparently you're pretty content with yourself. He says, "Yes, I am." And I said, "Hey, only so much I can say about it." Shit.
That's almost like the story of the Buddha. Like,
yeah.
He was the prince and he lived this life of luxury and he saw that they were suffering in the world, and he left, and he left his child and his wife, and he went out to go find, the truth.
Well, I don't think he's trying to find the truth, though. That's the thing. At least this one isn't.
Oh man.
But and then because of him, I became kind of entangled. I understood like the network that he was involved in. And I can't think of his name right now, but someone would come up to me and I'm like, "Oh, I asked someone, so I gave him the money." And sometimes they'd be like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, like a network of homeless people.
Yeah, because I realized the network of homeless people, and then some of them they knew I would talk to them, and so before I see them come up to me, I come out like the bagel shop, whatever like that. I'm like, ask someone. So I gave him money early this morning. He said, "Oh, okay." One time I did that shit, and the person, like, it was a woman. She said he didn't tell me that you gave him money today. And I gotta be like, it was kind of like my mother with like the alley cats. I became kind of involved with people, like homeless people, and how they live in this one section.
That's wild.
It was really interesting.
It almost sounds like like a hippie commune.
Yeah, but I guess if you're a free spirit, I guess I can see people being interested in living that type of lifestyle because, I asked the dude, I'm like, where do you sleep at night? And he just said, wherever I want to. And, it's kind of deep, but, you're not in the fucking forest, you're not on, lush grass and, you know, nice trees and waterfalls that our favorite reggae artists talk about. You're fucking in slums, rats crawling over you that probably have bubonic plague. Although there are lots of diseases in the jungle that we do know of, but still, at the same time.
That reminds me of this True Life that came on MTV years and years ago about the life of a hobo.
Mm-hmm.
And he was basically talking about the same thing about being free, and this is the lifestyle that he chooses to live, and he would just hop on trains, like, you know, cargo trains, and go from town to town and just live his life. So, you know, it seemed really interesting.
I mean, yeah. I mean, but, you know, there's been like 2 times I really felt like I really helped someone out. Like, remember the time when I told you I was coming out of work and I gave this guy $20 so he can catch the Greyhound?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it really seemed like something was wrong with him. And then I remember, like, I think that same night or whatever, or the day after, I told you about it. And I said, I really don't know if he was, like, lying or not. But you said, well, his acting was good enough, so maybe you should just accept it as, you know, he was a good actor. Because, I mean, it really seemed like there was something wrong with him. And he, like, because he was crying. Like, he didn't know how he was going to get home, wherever the fuck he was going. And it wasn't like, it wasn't like he was already like teary-eyed. Like, he was kind of teary-eyed, but then he, like, it wasn't like, you know how you see like in the movies, like, you know, you have like 2, 3 tears come down, or like on the show. He was like crying like a fucking, like a baby that you took a lollipop from or some shit like that.
Damn.
And I thought, I just felt bad for him, so I was like, look, man, here, take this fucking $20 and get on. He just seemed really thankful for it, so I'm hoping that he actually did what he had to do with it. But the other time, it was recent, last year, actually. There was this woman, and she was coming up to me, and this is by the time, you know, I was pretty down and out. I was pretty broke, but I was coming from work, and I was always pissed off, you know, I was coming from work anyway. And she came up to me, and she was like, probably around mother's age, and she said, hey, can you give me some money to get something to eat? I'm like, look, and, you know, I was about to shake my head, and she was like, no, I mean, like, really, can you give me something to eat? You know, like, I really just want a fish sandwich, and, you know, like, I don't want you to think that I'm trying to take your money or whatever like that. Seriously, I really want something to eat right now. I'm just really starving. I haven't had anything to eat since, you know, the other day, whenever it was. And it was like the shit, like her eyes. And, I went to the fish spot where I said, look, you pick out like the place you want to eat fish from. And she picked out some type of place. It was like $2 though, so it wasn't really much, wasn't nothing. But yeah, so we go up in there. I give her a fish sandwich, and I got like some type of iced tea too, or whatever like that. And then so I ended up sitting down with her like a little bit, maybe like 10, 15 minutes or whatever. And I was kind of just talking to her and talking about different things, and she thanked me, and that was it. Now it looked like she was really down on her luck, because I think she even gave me like a little bit of change she had, like to even like to like, you know, for the tax and shit like that. So yeah, man. Homeless people are injured because like there's so many different stories about them. Like, it could be the college graduate who I was really cool with, who I would talk to every morning, literally. Or it could be like someone who just got really just fucked up in the game and their life just crumbled and they never like, you know, got back on their feet.
Damn. That's really interesting. I don't think I've ever really, in fact, I think one time I had a conversation with a homeless person. It was, I was at Chinatown by the metro stop in D.C. And There was a homeless guy. He was going in a trash can looking for some food. And then he started talking. It was me and my homeboy. And he started talking to us about something. And he spoke, perfect English, perfect diction. And I forgot what he was talking about, but whatever it was, he sounded really smart. And we didn't really ask him his story or anything like that, but we were just thinking, like, why is he out here? You probably should have asked him. I think we were on our way somewhere, though. But that was just wild. Like, it's a variety of people and stories out here.
Honestly, the people who they're asking money for, from some of these people are smarter than the motherfuckers they're asking money for. From, that main dude, he explained so much shit about the stock market to me. He's the one who put me on to blue chip stocks and stuff like that. I didn't understand. I didn't totally understand the concept of it. And he told me about residuals when it comes to stocks, when it comes to different quarterly periods, quarterly outputs, the bull market, and stuff like that.
You know what? He probably has some money in some account somewhere for whenever he wants to go back or figure out what else he wants to do.
Maybe, but as a matter of fact, it was one person from my school. They saw me with him and they brought it up, of course, in front of a whole bunch of people. Said some shit about it, and why you hanging out? It was random, Leroy, why you hanging out with some fucking hobo, whatever like that. And then so I said something I was like, well, he's a smart dude. I said he's probably smarter than all of us in this room right now. And he was like, I don't think so. How you gonna say that he's homeless? And then I was like, well, if you know something about bull markets and, blue chip stocks, then you come and holler at me. And he was like, huh? It still tarnished my image, though. People was like, oh, you were late today because you were hanging out with the hobo, huh? So, yeah, it still always stuck with me, though, but still, fuck it.
It sounds like some type of movie plot.
But a movie, I don't know, some type of kid shit where he's a magical, he's like Santa Claus or some type of shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh man.
So yeah, we in the building. Channel10podcast.com. All in your area, Channel 10 Podcast, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, probably should make a Pinterest, probably about to get the Snapchat popping and Periscope and Meekrat, and all these other social media things whenever we get the time, because we're two very busy individuals out here doing things out here in the world. And shout out to Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all my homeless people. Shout out to all my original African ninjas.
Oh man.
And shout out to everybody in Brazil and all around the world practicing the art of capoeira, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Shout out to Eddie Gordo. And shout out to Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat.
Oh, that's right. That's what's up.
You got any shout outs?
I don't have, not really any shout outs, but I guess some last words though. you know, if you're walking down the street and you can help somebody in need, just try to help them out if you can. If it's $1, $2, whatever, just try to help them out. And let's see, and listen to Jim Stone's new album.
Oh man,
The Blind Elephant. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation we gotta get into next time.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. Damn, I'm about to talk about all the leaks that happened. Young Jeezy, a whole bunch of new Drake records. A$AP Rocky just dropped his album in the last couple hours.
Oh shit!
And Lil Boosie's album is streaming. So there you go. Eat more vegetables. And you know when you're helping people out, really think about, you know, it's good to help people, but you want to make sure that you're making the biggest impact that you can possibly make with the limited resources that you have, because sometimes you need some help too. So
very true.
Save the children. And we out.
Peace.
Feeling this here.
Yeah, son, you feel it, man. What up, son? You gotta just do it, yo.
CNN.
Yo, what up, man? It's a different channel, son. What up, on, man. What up, watch the channel, son. Different plane now, man.
It's all good.
What up, all good, baby, in every hood, son. What up, yo? CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas, it's grown men. Bold face, gat in your face. Stay in place, yo, crime lace. Cats more beef than Scarface. CNN, Network, Channel 10. It's on again. Street niggas, that's grown men. Bold